doing my best to make you part of us.
We're going to watch a video from Redacted. I really like Redacted. They bring news stories that should be mainstream, sadly are not.
Tracking Justin Trudeau's tyranny is a full-time job. Luckily, we have a man who makes it his full-time job. Tracks Trudeau's tyranny. Really? David Creighton from Events writes over at Post Millennial from time to time, and journalist joins us now. David, good to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Very nice to be back, Clayton.
So we wanted to have you on because on Thursday night, the Trudeau government passed their latest bill, and it's, of course, a bill that we've been watching. We've been watching a series of bills over the past year in Canada.
Years now.
Going to censor the Canadian people and basically taking away free speech in that country.
What a bunch of Nazis.
Thursday night. Can you walk us through what the bill was or is, and what this will mean for free speech in Canada?
Well, what's going on right now is a threefold attack on basic freedom of speech in Canada. What happened last Thursday was the passage of Bill C-18, which is aimed at big tech, as the Liberals like to say.
The excuse is big tech.
Really about the Internet Extortion Act is what I call it, to force social media to pay Canadian news outlets to run Canadian stories on social media.
Why would they?
Now, Meta has already come out and said, "No way, we're going to stop running Canadian stories." So it's technically called the online news.
Who cares about Canada?
Now the Online News Act, and all of these bills have innocuous sounding names, but that's 1984. What they're all about is just stripping Canada of free speech. And prior to C-18 passing, the Online Streaming Act, which was Bill C-11, passed. And that demanded that all independent news providers or news providers in general have Canadian content regulations. So that's going to hit a lot.
Well, if I can just talk against Trudeau, that should be fine. I mean, there's enough content for a couple of channels just to bitch that.
A lot of YouTubers out there who are not going to have enough Canadian content to stay on the air. And this goes back to an obsession with the Liberal Party that goes back decades. With this obsession with Canadian content culture at the detriment of free speech.
Well, I don't know. Like sometimes there's an idea of Canada because we're like just close to the United States, and in Quebec it's even worse because we just speak French here almost. So, and they always try people are sensitized to protecting what is Canadian and encouraging what is Canadian because we're like so small of a market that we kind of need to do it. So they kind of manipulate people with their emotions about that to pass other laws. It's kind of like the TikTok bill that was in the United States, and when it came out, there was nothing about TikTok on it. It was just an excuse.
And for a while,
playing with emotions,
this obsession died down because there simply was so much information available
overall
on the internet, on cable news, that it was no longer necessary to dictate that there had to be so much Canadian content because there was a proliferation of Canadian content. But there's something sinister about this. Why are they insisting that the internet now reflect the Liberal Party's view of Canadian content? Why are they insisting that social media pay for Canadian news? I mean, I've been working in online news now for the past 7 years. My salary always went up when Facebook and Twitter and other social media ran my stories
directly. You don't need to be paid.
So this is reverse psychology.
Yeah.
Canadian media are going to start losing money if social media withdraws from Canada. Not to mention,
Trudeau is such a bad government. He's bad, and even for the economy, he's like really bad. He just sucks at everything he does. I bet he was like the worst teacher that in the school they had. Like, you don't want this type of narcissist fool like running anything.
Mention the fact that we're going to become increasingly isolated
right,
and increasingly in danger of
narcissistic.
not knowing what's happening outside of our borders, and because we're not going to have access to social media. And Meta has already said it's on the way to withdrawing from Canada.
I just don't understand why they would think that Facebook and Twitter would pay the CBC for their news content, or I guess, or even independent creators.
Yeah, so like if Facebook doesn't want to pay me for my content since I'm Canadian, then I will just be like not allowed on Meta, or like not allowed to bring news to people around the world. I mean, I know I'm small and everything might change, but that's it's really taking away our, like, I guess, our rights to be Canadian. I thought like that our forefathers fought for this place. They fought for our freedom of speech against tyranny. And here we have like this dude that's probably like stealing elections, that has like he's like so talentless. He's been like rich all his life. And I bet he's like, his talent like level in about everything is extremely low. He never had to work hard in his life. He's got decent communication skills. I mean, he looks kind of good, I guess, but all Canadians do. No, I'm joking. But no, he's just the worst. I thought we had like bad prime ministers back then with Jean Chrétien and who was the one before, the conservative Stephen Harper. I thought they were horrible, but I mean, I take them over Trudeau anytime. At least they had something that's respectable. Trudeau, has absolutely zero respect for me. I don't care for him. Everything he says is either a lie or just a narcissistic, childish reaction to what's around him and doesn't go his way. He's the worst. He's I would rather have Hitler. I would rather have Putin be our leader. I'd rather have Donald Trump. I mean, I like the second, I guess, like, well, at least if we had like the Chinese Communist Party, we would have a good economy. Like, at least, it's like,
for their news content, they don't have to do that. I mean, you're getting to use their platform ostensibly for free. Mm-hmm. Why would they care? And you're right. I think this is going to lead to an isolation. Mm-hmm. Although, of course, it seems like these lawmakers are saying, no, this is going to help Canadian media.
So
this is going to help
short-sighted.
Canadian media. What's their rationale for that?
Well, it's strictly the argument that they're going to get a few dollars from social media. This appealed initially to a lot of the legacy media in Canada, what's left of it. And it's astounding if you look at what is actually left of the legacy media. 99% of the daily newspapers in this country are owned by Post Media. And Post Media said, what a great idea, because Post Media is
probably talking about the English side, because here in Quebec, it's Québécois. And they run everything. They run everything that has to do with culture and has to do with the news and everything. And their takes are so horrible. They have such childish ideas, stupid takes. Their worldview is like it's so small, so easily manipulable. It's amazing. It's like I don't know if like they're just stupid or what, but the Canadian media here is like, it's out of this world. It's like there's nobody really that brings the news anymore. Like, do I bring news? Kind of, but I put so much of myself that it doesn't really count. And the Canadian media is like that, like all the time. They always try to make these conclusions that have absolutely no sense. And it's, and there's some, like most people see it, I guess. But there's a lot of people that are only informed from the TV, and it's like they're God. And oh my God, some people are like lost. They have lost their soul to the television. It's quite sad. There's a large population of, especially like older people, they have been so isolated since COVID. Their worldview is like entirely skewed by narcissistic fools like Justin Trudeau, they actually believe him, and it's sad. I don't know if they're stupid or what. I guess they rather look intelligent than be intelligent. Like if you go with the masses, as long as you say E equals MC square once in a while, you'll be seen as somebody intelligent. And once you go like against the narrative, you'll be considered stupid. There's a lot of people, that's the way they justify. And I mean, well, even worse, some people are like people that have different opinions than me are more stupid, and it's so far from the truth. Like maybe they don't have access to information. That doesn't make them stupid, but like having the internet these days and not wanting to get information, that quite like keeps you stupid. I'm pretty sure. Let's continue on with this horrible
going downhill news. Fast. It's going bankrupt. And they thought, what a nice way to pick up a few dollars. It's not going to be enough dollars to stay in business. They have got to refocus and repackage what they're doing. New media is the future. And of course, new media, well, I hesitate to say they're all small c conservative, but I say they're small c common sense outlets. Right. Where they actually have a plan.
There's like the Canadian media is so pro-government and so pro-leftist that like it's normal there's going to be a counterculture. Like who's going to want to go back on the internet and just repeat what they say? It's like a useless waste of time
to exist in the modern world. Legacy media is still very much living in the 1970s and 80s, before the internet essentially took over.
They act as if the internet isn't there.
And they refuse to adapt. They refuse to evolve. They refuse.
Well, they don't need to, because like most, the biggest part of population that watches the mainstream media, they only believe in mainstream media. They think that everything on the internet is bad or stupid or misinformation, disinformation. So like they can be told anything. They can be told like a story like between day 1 to day 22, and it's entirely different, and they don't even process it. They don't laugh about what they see. It's wow.
Used to become a part of how media works today, and so they think they can break even by extorting some money from social media.
I mean, what stands out to me is stupid. No one's going to be left, because none of these companies are going to pay. They're not going to pay Facebook. They're not, or Facebook and Twitter are not going to pay for this content.
Why would they?
And so what's going to happen is you're not going to have a Canadian voice on any of these platforms anymore, except the official, I guess, press releases that come out of the Trudeau government. I mean, what else is going to be?
The only thing you see from Canada is Trudeau. I mean, I'm sorry for you.
And it'll just be the voices of the regime, basically, shared across social media. They've already clamped down.
That is the stark and very dark truth of this. That's what it's all about. We are becoming like China.
All right, for everybody who has eyes to see.
Only Liberal Party approved media, thank you very much, is what Canadians can watch and listen to. And it's extremely dangerous. But I tell you, the worst is yet to come. And the third part of Trudeau's what he calls his online agenda, and that's exactly what it is. It's an online agenda, but it's I'm going
to need amnesty from another country.
And that's the Online Safety Act. Now that sounds just wonderful. What could be worse than
so
safety?
Sweet.
Right.
But that, of course, is what's coming next, and that is going to be Trudeau's attack on hate speech. And misinformation / disinformation. That's the next part of this. That's the scariest part. He is going to make that.
Somebody talking against his hair is probably going to consider hate speech.
Essentially illegal or subject to massive fines.
I'm not allowed to talk against hair. Look at that. I need to get a new haircut.
And this is happening right now in Australia. As I speak, they are grappling with the same legislation. They're about 6 months ahead of us. And they are introducing their version of the Online Safety Act right now, and it's frightening. Because the question is...
The Australian governments are a bunch of fascists, too.
What hate speech is? And who defines what disinformation is? Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be the Trudeau government.
Trudeau God government.
Who makes that call. Yeah. And anything that they disagree with, is going to be hate speech. You heard how Trudeau talked about.
They already sway elections, everything, and all the way the districts are separated. It really is advantages to Liberals, and they just want to continue to control even more. It's like it's not enough. Trudeau is like a power-hungry, totalitarian, crazy Nazi,
envoy. Racist, misogynist, hate speakers.
Right?
They would be banned.
Guys saying
Trudeau
like people are sexist for being against forced vaccination.
He disagrees with any news or information that he deems bad for his Liberal government.
I'd box him.
And I think this is absolutely frightening. And I've looked through the coming legislation because for the last year, the Liberal government has been doing study groups in terms of how this legislation is going to be introduced.
Sorry, but that girl, she looks like kind of crazy. There's something about her demeanor. I don't know who she is.
What it's going to entail.
She looks dangerously crazy.
They've already tried to introduce it 3-4 years ago, but it was just before the summer recess of the Parliament. So it's been reintroduced in the current session. It will come up for debate and vote in the next fall session. And what it really amounts to, though, is that Canada will be a country without free speech.
And Canada, of course, if you don't know, our political system is quite different. When there's a party that has more than 50% of the House's representative, they can vote on anything they want. There is almost no counterpower. The senators here, they don't have the veto power of what happens in the United States. It's really a different system, and the political parties I think it's like that pretty much everywhere for that part. But like when a political party decides to vote on something, like everybody in the party decides to vote with, and this current not only do they have full power at the moment, there's even the NPD, which is another party that pretty much left away their sovereignty of everybody in their party and saying that they were going to vote with the Liberals on pretty much anything. So like if you vote for NPD, it's the same as voting for Liberal. Very sad. The person that started the NPD party, Jack Layton, he was a good guy. He had some good ideas, maybe a bit too leftist for me. Still, I think he had his heart at the right place. And since then, it was Mulcair and now Yag Singh. They're all a bunch of puppets. Either are not to be trusted. It's a party of corruption. They're just liberal, like sock puppets.
Because hate speech can mean just about anything. You can consider Karl Marx to be the author of hate speech because he hated capitalism. Where do you begin and where do you end with a stupid concept like this?
Especially if you've got a narcissist completely in power.
Opposed to 500 years.
He doesn't even deserve to be a narcissist.
British, Canadian, American jurisprudence and freedom of speech. This is what we fought for, is the right to speak our minds and not to have the government tell us to shut up because we disagree with that.
Yeah, because that makes a stronger society.
And disinformation is even a larger problem because anything can be described as disinformation. And we saw this last weekend with all of the crap that was coming out about this Ukrainian coup d'etat, or the Russian coup d'etat. The Ukrainians were on board with this.
I didn't watch legacy media about that.
The U.S. press was largely pretending that this was some kind of huge development. Canada was there. Britain was there.
Right.
And
so sometimes I should watch a legacy media just to see what's not happening.
That was all, of course, a lot of misinformation.
I guess I'll have no choice when
according to this government, that's the truth. And
right, who's policing those guys?
I'll have content for the dark web.
Page of the Wall Street Journal, the front page of the Atlantic newspaper. This is a civil war. But that's all. That was false. That's disinformation. But hey, who's going to police these people? And I just want to ask. I mean, I kind of think about, as a YouTuber myself, as a video content creator. What does this mean for
am I still going to see you in Canada now?
Independent creators, because we already know that there's a war against independent content creators, but particularly among the Trudeau government, we heard,
of course, because everybody hates him.
Contempt for independent media.
To just act as if some people like him.
Organization he
very, very, very small fraction of the population.
Independent news organizations. So publishing content, what will they have to do? What will they have to think about? Or will they not be able to publish really anymore in the way that they used to?
It's like you can only talk of Canada and you can't speak bad about it. Oh, great. Yeah. That's, oh my God. I can't believe that we went this far. Considering the place where I grew up was nothing like that.
New media was diametrically opposed to this legislation, C-18, which is the law of the land right now. It's being implemented. They were opposed to this because they know they drive up their readership on social media. I mean, it's just so bloody obvious. I don't know how anybody cannot see this.
They know.
Anyone who's worked in media today knows that that's the lifeblood of media today.
Even mainstream media.
Story out on social media, so millions of people can see it.
Why you think I'm here?
And that's not going to happen. So, and they haven't got the money to litigate with social media to find some kind of happy medium, some kind of deal, which is what the Liberals are saying they should do. So they're saying, no, we don't want to hire a bunch of lawyers to find some deal with social media that's not even going to help us in the end. No. Everybody is going to get hurt by this. And it's going to be even worse with the online safety, because how is it going to affect people who watch Redacted every day? How is it going to affect people who watch my channel, Creighton's Right, I do stuff critical of the Liberal government every day.
Yeah, he seems pretty good.
Be deemed
David,
disinformation because it's contrary to the Liberal policies.
Yeah,
of course it will. I can't see any way they would.
How can you not talk against them?
Interestingly enough, the people who are framing this coming online safety bill admit, and I have found the testimony, and I've written about this in Human Events and elsewhere, they admit they cannot define disinformation, and that they don't want to define disinformation because that will curtail their ability to enforce this law at random.
Because if they define disinformation, it's going to be easy to tag them as disinformation because they're always wrong. Like the Canadian legacy media, they always get every takes wrong. They're so bad. They're so pathetic. There's like no second voice. Everybody's just saying the same thing and they all suck. They were all so wrong about COVID on every level. Still no excuse on anything. I haven't seen a single, and I mean, it's not that I'm watching directly mainstream media, but I have a lot of contacts and friends on social media myself, and they post these kinds of information. And I have yet to see like somebody on the Canadian media saying, "Oh, you know what? I think it was a bad thing to force people to get an experimental vaccination when that treatment didn't even cancel transmission." Said it a low word, but like you can just manipulate that. But it was entirely useless. There was no debate to be done. And they didn't test it against transmission. And because you can't even start the debate, you can't force people to have an experimental vaccine if it doesn't help them stop the transmission. There's just no debate to be had. And Canadian media, I mean, they're never going to go back on that. They're never going to say they're sorry or that oh my God, we were so mistreated. I almost lost my job working from home from not being vaccinated. I was pressured by my superiors to get the jab just to keep my work at home, and I didn't stop. I said, yeah, who cares? I mean, it's just a job. It is kind of like I kind of needed to survive, but I mean, I'm more resilient than that. My values pass over a lot of what my values and belief will not be swayed by these types of trickeries. When especially that I know it was just bluff. A lot of people fell for the bluff and they felt bad about it. I kept that intact. It was the right decision, and I will not fall down next time.
Because that's what it's all about. They just want to put new media out of business because it tends to be more conservative than the legacy media. And they want to stop people from voicing their opinion. It is that simple. It is an attack on free speech that is as sinister as anything out of Nazi Germany or Soviet Russia or China today. And it's absolutely frightening what's happening.
China, but with bad economy.
And you know that this is exactly what the World Economic Forum wants. You know that the Biden administration and others are probably sitting back watching this very closely. How do they pull this off? How can we also do it in the United States to the best of our ability? And clamp
at least
down.
You got the Second Amendment.
A lot of these mainstream media platforms are already censoring and blocking and taking channels down left and right. We've had friends lose their channels recently for telling the truth. And it's really, really sad.
You're not going to lose your tongue from saying lies.
Already. So, David Creighton, thank you so much for this. We appreciate you keeping an eye on the tyranny that is the Trudeau regime up there. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, so David. Much. It was a pleasure joining you.
So it was,
thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted.
That was Redacted. It's David. They always need to put their the link. Like I search for David on the page and you can't find him. So yeah, Redacted. If ever you got somebody coming to your show, put their page at the bottom. I want to see these people, and especially when I'm going to post this reaction video, I'm going to put the link directly to your video. I got nothing to hide. I want for people to see if the information I'm getting is true and not manipulated. And we should be transparent about that too. I mean, I'm just trying to find you a fault when you're almost perfect. So thank you for making great content, Redacted, day after day. You're working hard, and it shows. You got a great team. Very, very good station, probably better than my channel, because they just don't react. But I mean, I'm not there yet. If I would have a team, I'd love to do these types of newscasts. I think it's something I can look up to. I don't have the time to do everything myself. I got too many things to do. Oh well, maybe we'll have different kinds of content later on. I live in the Canadian Montreal area. If ever you want to contact me for an interview or for a podcast, I'm always open. I got some strong ideas and strong opinions and good arguments. My speech level is not 100%. I'm not that good to communicate the feelings and ideas I have all the time, but rest assured that they are tried, well, true, tested, and will not falter. So thank you for joining me on Versus the Rest. Hope to see you again next time. Have a nice day.
I have come here, trouble